UFC Vegas 92 recently wrapped up, and I'm going to recap the entire card. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Let's jump into our first fight. Starting the card off, we had Vanessa Demopoulos and Emily Ducote. It was an underrated banger. It was a fight that a lot of people, including myself, thought would be more of like a tit-for-tat, very technical and maybe even boring striking match. But it turned out to be a scrap between both these girls. It was a competitive fight. I personally had it 2-1 for Ducote, but I'm not going to go and scream robbery because Demopoulos landed some massive shots in the fight. She rocked Ducote in the last round. She cut her with a head kick. There was a lot to like with the performance of Vanessa Demopoulos here, and getting it 2-1 in a damage trumps all situation, I could see why. Even though Ducote finished the third round on top, the biggest shot in that round was Demopoulos's, even though Ducote had landed a bit more. Demopoulos is what? 5-1 in her last 6. She's on a good little roll here at 35 years old. She sends back Emily Ducote in a really competitive fight. Demopoulos does well in these damn tit-for-tat close matchups, and she did pull through. Did get caught with a lot of jabs, but Ducote, unfortunately, really didn't follow up the straight shots and land anything of significance. She would find peppering straights, but she wouldn't do much more, whereas Demopoulos, when she landed, it was studding clean punches. So good win for Demopoulos in a fight that delivered more than expected. Our next fight on the card, we had Alatengheili and Clayton Rodrigues. Alatengheili was my favorite underdog of the night, so you can, kind of tell I was hype as hell for it if you were watching the live stream. I do think Alatengheili put on pretty clean performance in exploiting what is an obvious hole in Clayton Rodrigues' game, which is simply just wrestling. Clayton Rodrigues has extremely subpar takedown defense. There was moments where I think Alateng even telegraphed shots, like the single leg that he landed, I believe, in the second round, and he tripped Rodrigues from there. It was telegraphed. It was like something that you should recognize as a fighter on the opposite side. Now, the reason I thought Alateng was such a good dog is because the X factor of the wrestling and the fact that the striking, as far as the boxing went, was pretty close. Alateng even landed some big shots. Clayton has great kicks, but this is not kickboxing. This is MMA, and unfortunately, he has some really shite takedown defense, and it's a hole that needs to be closed immediately. He's training with Charles Oliveira. He was in the corner. I think he needs to go to like a team alpha male. I think he needs to dial into wrestling. I think that is what Clayton needs. Yes, he has fun striking. Yes, he has nasty kicks, and he does have decent jiu-jitsu. Not being able to stop takedowns at all, and that's a consistent problem in his UFC career, is going to get him released. He's currently 1-3 in the UFC, and I don't love the look for the 28-year-old. Now, Alateng is a crafty veteran, and he used his fight IQ and veteran savviness to win, but it's not like he didn't land some clean punches too, and he just panicked wrestled. He found good takedowns in control, but he landed nice shots on the feet as well, even though he was touched up from the kickboxing range by Clayton. There's so much promise in the Clayton Rodrigues striking, and that is, I think, why he was the favorite, and that's why people were probably behind him with the picks. But Alatengheili landing the takedowns, threatening with takedowns, found shots on the feet. And if you're fighting Clayton moving forward, you're going to be looking to wrestle him. Even strikers, they're going to look to wrestle him. So I think the hole in the game needs to be closed immediately. Now, I could kind of see Clayton Rodrigues next fight. Am I crazy for thinking he fights Vinicius Salvador, who lost on this card a little later on in the night? Let's make a striking match. Let's give one of them a chance for a clean win. Good W for Alatengheili. Great underdog, man. Very happy about the favorite dog hitting. The next fight on the card was Ariane Carnelossi and Piera Rodrigues, which was weird. Piera Rodrigues was whooping her ass, and Piera Rodrigues almost got a TKO. And instead of continuing with ground and pound in the second round after dropping Carnelossi, she decides to do one headbutt. The referee warns her of the light headbutt, and then what does she do? Instead of being cautious, garnering herself and, just throwing punches or even just holding and taking a second, she does another headbutt. The results in her getting disqualified. Carnelossi did not want to continue. You can't blame Carnelossi. She was absolutely rocked before the headbutts happened, and then the headbutts landing gave her a perfect out on the fight, which I think any intelligent fighter can use to their advantage if they don't see any path to victory. And I don't think there really was one for Carnelossi outside of a DQ. Piera Rodrigues cost herself a win in a performance where she was looking so good, she chose to be an idiot and throw some headbutts. I guess you don't choose to be an idiot. Well, she needs to shore some things up. That was embarrassing. The fact that you get disqualified like that, if I'm her team, I'm pissed. If you're her, she's definitely pissed at herself. But it's a shame that she decided, let me throw some headbutts down. Are you kidding me? You have a TKO in your hands, or a decision, even worst case scenario, because the takedowns were working too. Instead, let's throw it away with headbutts. I would have respected Rodrigues more if she was losing and did some headbutts out of rage, but she's dominating the fight. What the fuck? Terrible. Terrible for Pierre Rodrigues. Embarrassing. DQ loss. Congrats to Carnelossi. Next fight on the card, Abus Magomedov and Warlley Alves. Abus was my true lock of the card. And yes, he was a chalky locky, of course, but the highest level of confidence was on him. And he put it on Warlley Alves for 3 rounds, out-wrestled the hell out of him, almost got a rear naked choke late in the third, beat him up with ground and pound. But I believe if Abus Magomedov did not have a fear of gassing out, he could have got the second round knockout. He was close to it, but he gave up on the ground and pound. And I thought that the Mystic Mac prop bet of the card, specifically for Abus, for the lock, was that second round knockout. And it's like we almost had it. It was right in front of our face. I could taste the win, and it didn't happen. It is what it is. It's how the game goes. But Abus Magomedov definitely showed he's got good wrestling. He's got a better gas tank than anticipated, and solid fight IQ. Didn't force a finish and instead put on a pretty solid onslaught of ground and pound and control over Warlley Alves, who typically has pretty good Brazilian jiu-jitsu skills. So Abus Magomedov with a clean win to stay afloat in the UFC middleweight division, but I have no hopes of him becoming a future top 10 or even top 15 contender forthcoming after this one. But he's a hard matchup for a lot of guys, especially guys outside of the top 25. I look forward to more. I like Abus Magomedov. I like the grappling control and strength. The striking is solid too, but Warlley was winging some bombs, and I was worried that Abus was going to get caught by some wild shit. For Warlley Alves, he's at a point where he might be getting cut from the UFC. What is he, 1-5 in his last 6? He's looking like he's falling off, man. And he moved up to middleweight, and it hasn't worked out well for him. So Abus Magomedov with a clean W to kind of reemerge some confidence in him, but we know he's not a future champ. Still, good fighter. Good fighter, solid unranked potential, and he's definitely making a career out of the fight game. I don't think he's bad at all. And in the future, certain matchups, I think he could be a lock again. Let's jump to the next fight. Melissa Gatto, Tamires Vidal. This fight was a lopsided beating. Looked like the odds were perfectly correct. Melissa Gatto took this fight on short notice, up a weight class, and she looked real good at 135. Took Vidal down, beat the shit out of her in the first round, striked with her a bit in the second, and Vidal had some clinch moments. Not really clinch moments like he's damaging her, but controlling the clinch. But then Gatto takedown again. And then in the third round, instead of even just rushing for the takedown, Gatto striking with a boob punch, and the fight is over. A boob punch led to the stoppage. Gatto caught her with a hook to the breast, and Vidal turned away and said, trying to signal to the ref. I'm thinking maybe it's a wardrobe malfunction. Gatto now blitzes on her, and then the referee stops the fight there. It was Chris Taioni because the punch to the boob is a legal strike. And maybe we should be seeing more boob punches for women's MMA because that's never a tactic that I see. But the way that Vidal reacted, it seems like, the sensitivity of that area can be something that fighters exploit. If you got some power, rip one right to the breast. Melissa Gatto may have just unlocked a new technique in fighting that we see more often. I would like to see it more often from Gatto or just, fighters in general because it seems like an effective strategy. For Gatto, good win. She can stay at 135, but to be fair, Tamires Vidal is a lesser skilled fighter at this weight class. She's not top caliber. She's towards the bottom end of the unranked, right? Like if you look at every UFC women's bantamweight, Vidal is definitely teetering on, the lower tier. And Gatto put on a dominant display, as she should have, as somebody that, was a pretty highly touted flyweight prospect. Don't know if Gatto's going to stick around at 35. I don't think it's a bad idea. She might be better with a little extra water and fat on her. Seemed like she had a little more strength and power. She seemed more menacing out there than previous fights. So I personally say, do one more at 35. Let's find the measuring stick matchup, and maybe Gatto can do something at 135 because 25 has better fighters. 35 towards like the teetering top. Like if you look like Kayla Harrison's real tough, but Raquel Pennington versus, technically speaking, Manon Fiorot, who's better? Manon Fiorot. So I think Gatto might be better suited for 35 and maybe she breaks into the top 10. So for me, I'm saying Gatto, stick around, stay at 135 pounds. Next fight was Oumar Sy versus Tuco Tokkos. And Oumar Sy turned out to not be a bust like a Rebellis Despain or a bum. He absolutely destroyed Tokkos on the ground, where Tokkos is actually known for being pretty good with his wrestling. Oumar Sy bodied him. So now I believe in the Frenchman. Coming into this fight, I had a little bit of doubts, thinking that Tokkos also has a good wrestling game, but damn. You might train at Killcliff FC with Brendan Allen, but Oumar Sy bodied him. I got to tell you, the light heavyweight division is a weight class where I think a fighter like Oumar Sy can do some serious work, because when you think about the UFC light heavyweight division, champion, striker, Prohashka, high-level contender, striker, Jamal Hill, striker, Magomedov, very good MMA base and does have wrestling in the arsenal, but there is a massive slew of strikers in the UFC light heavyweight division, but they lack the grapplers. Let me pull up UFC rankings on the side here, and let me see, out of the top 10, who's a good wrestler in the UFC light heavyweight division? Outside of Magomed Ankalaev, I mean, Blachowicz is okay at the wrestling. Wouldn't call him a good wrestler. Krylov is decent in the wrestling. Carlos Ulberg is a pure striker. Anthony Smith has pretty good submissions. It's a striking heavyweight class. Are you telling me right now Oumar Sy couldn't go out there and land takedowns on Bogdan Gushkov? Could he not out-wrestle somebody, even like a Khalil Roundtree? I'm telling you guys, after that performance, and I doubted him going in because I thought Tokkos could exploit him, and I ended up delusionally calling Tokkos, but it's not like I told you it was a confident pick. It was a coin flip of a fighter that I didn't know his level, and he ended up showing it to me that he's actually good. He's not just a can crusher. He beat Tokkos, who's a decent guy. I think Oumar Sy is a problem. With his frame, with his length, with his grappling skills and knowledge, bro, there's a lack of good wrestlers. If you look, the light heavyweight division, kings of light heavyweight back in the day, Daniel Cormier, wrestling savage. John Jones, wrestling savage. Even Rashad Evans, very good wrestling, right? I think Oumar Sy could be a problem. I really do. With the frame, with the reach, second longest reach, like compared to John Jones, I guess that's the longest. So like the longest active light heavyweight wingspan, I think. Him, or maybe he's number 2. I think there's a half-inch advantage for Nzechiku. Oumar Sy is good, man. Oumar Sy is good. I believe in him now. Oumar Sy, I'm sold on you. And I think Oumar Sy moving forward is kind of a nightmare matchup for a lot of these UFC light heavyweights, bro, because they all don't wrestle well. I mean, granted, there's a handful, but for the most part, they don't. And Oumar Sy can wrestle his ass off and threaten with submissions. He's promising. Oumar Sy is so promising. I was really impressed, man. Like, beating ex-UFC fighters, is cool. And I'm like, all right, he's taking some scrubs out. And when he was supposed to fight Tricolio, I'm like, all right, he'll run over Tricolio. He can't wrestle well. But then Tokkos is like, all right, he's got good wrestling. No, Oumar Sy has got good wrestling. There's a different level. The way he beat Tokkos is more impressive to me than knocking Tokkos out like Mi Yang Zhang did. Because you beat Tokkos where he's supposed to be his best, and you body the hell out of him. Oumar Sy is really terrifying. And I think that France has a future light heavyweight contender. I'm going to tell you right now, because he's going to put people on their ass. Everybody wants to strike. Everybody's used to striking at light heavyweight now. We need a good grappler. And Oumar Sy is that. And I can't fucking wait for more, man. I know I'm comparing him to John Jones a little bit with the control and the frame. Not saying he's exactly like Jones, but like, you can kind of compare with the takedowns, right? The control, the jiu-jitsu base seems more evident than Jones. But still, Oumar Sy can wrestle, man. And I'm hyped for more. Next fight was our featured prelim of the night. It was Tom Nolan, Victor Martinez. And of course, Tom Nolan got dropped. It has to happen. He got wobbled, dropped, but instead of, rushing up to his feet, falls to his back. Martinez tries to attack. Nolan, dangerous from the bottom, slices Martinez up, and then drops him with a knee to the body, striking, and the fight is finished. Tom Nolan with the first-round knockout. But my God, his chin is a big question mark. You all write it down. If you're looking to bet on him, if you're looking to pick him in the future, Tom Nolan has a suspect chin, and I'm telling you why. It's because he's 6'3" at 155 pounds. He's cutting way too much weight. He's like scarecrow skinny. I think that it's similar to the Sam Patterson situation. I think Tom Nolan should go up to 170, but I think he's probably a little bit fearful of those fighters at 170 with their size, with their power, what have you. But fighting at 55 like a damn dehydrated and drained out, starving dude, like I don't think that's optimal for your career either. So I think Tom Nolan should consider a move up in weight. at least soon. I know he's only 24, but I'm very worried about that chin because he's been dropped in both his UFC fights. Yes, he has power too, and yes, he's a good striker, and there are things to like for sure. The chin is questionable right now. Still, first round knockout, impressive performance, and fight that had me intrigued. Next fight on the card was Angela Hill versus Luana Pinheiro, and it opened up the main card. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the likes, and if you're new, subscribe. Listen, me calling the fraud underdogs has been fuego, right? Because I've been saying all week, Angela Hill's going to win, and everybody's high on Pinheiro. But Hill then, what does she do? She also chokes her out. She chokes out the judo. She choked out the judoka. The judo base didn't matter here. Angela Hill touched her up in the striking. This fight was going on as the Fury-Usyk fight was happening, but I was more interested in the Angela Hill fight than the Fury-Usyk fight, to be real. Luana Pinheiro got strangled. Angela Hill at 39 looks better than ever, and she's in the top 10 now. I don't know how it's happened. She's like reversed aged, like she looks younger as she's gotten older. I remember times thinking Angela Hill was over the hill years ago. No, Angela Hill's got some steam left, and she's put on a beating on Pinheiro. She beat her more impressively than Ribas did. Angela Hill's a problem in the women's weight divisions. And after the fight, she don't just do like a soft call out. No, she calls out Andrade, who's a monster. And she says she wants a rematch for the BMF belt. And Andrade beat her up back in the day. Granted, Angela Hill showed her toughness even back then. I like what I see from Angela Hill. Longtime veteran of the UFC. And to be real with you guys, she's going to be able to do fairly well in, specific matchups. Where she'll struggle, though, is against the elite of the elite. Like we've seen her lose to the likes of Verna Jandiroba and things like that. But if you look at the UFC women's class, right, women's strawweight is the weight class she's in. Currently, she was ranked at number 12. She's going to jump into the number 10 spot with the Pinheiro fight. She already beat Lupi. She should be number 9. If Amanda Ribas is dropping back down, that fight's on the table. There's a fight with her and Andrade. Like, it's just time-wise, it could end up working out. That's a great call out. I think Andrade versus Angela Hill too, and she wants the women's BMF belt on the line. I don't know if we're going to get that, but I don't care. That's a really good fight. And she just strangled Pinheiro. She is a women's BMF for sure. She's a bad motherfucker. And I think that Angela Hill is somehow getting better with age. It's crazy. Epic performance, 6 submission, and deserves a ton of praise and respect, and a performance of the night bonus. So gladly she got the 50K. Next fight on the card, Adrian Yanez versus Vinicius Salvador. Adrian Yanez did exactly what he was supposed to do, and that's dust a complete opponent in Vinicius Salvador, who was supposed to be levels below him in skill, and he was. He was levels below him in skill. But to be fair, Salvador had me nervous a little bit when he was swinging, and Yanez was throwing wide shots and bricking. There were some things to be worried about because Yanez's timing was looking off. But as things settled in, he found the kill shot, dropped Salvador, beat the shit out of him with ground and pound. It was a good first-round knockout, and it was a get comfortable and confident and again win for Yanez. But not a fight that's proven he's top 15 material because he was minus 425 the favorite for good reason. He was taking on an 0-2 in the UFC Salvador. Salvador's okay, but he's not great. He's not good. Yanez trying to emerge to the upper echelon. He's saying he's righting the wrongs and whatnot, talking about the rankings. I still think he struggles with the leg kicks of Jonathan Martinez and the jab of Rob Font. This fight doesn't tell me those holes are closed. This tells me Yanez can knock out unranked guys. I want to see more unranked opponents. I think Adrian Yanez is a fun-ass style. I think he's a cool guy, and I'm a fan. I'm always an Adrian Yanez fan. I have since the start, man. But my opinion right now is he's going to need to really close some gaps quickly if he wants to be able to compete with some of the best fighters in the world. Because, you look at the UFC featherweight rankings, and if you're honest here, bantamweight, not featherweight. How does he rank? How does he do? Like, okay, him and Pedro Munoz. Munoz got great leg kicks. That's a hard fight. I'm interested. Don't get it twisted. I think it could be okay for him. We already seen him lose to Martinez, who ranked 14. Dominic Cruz, you could catch Dominic Cruz, to be honest with you. Mario Batista's relentless with the wrestling. I don't know how Yanez is going to fare with the takedown onslaught of certain guys as well. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like when you burst him into the top 15, again, I'm worried that he's going to struggle. So right now, I'm thinking we keep him outside of that top 15. We keep feeding him fun fights, and he's a good guy to have on fight night cards. Maybe when we go back to Texas, you put him on the feature bout again, and he gets a sick knockout against maybe somebody better. I don't know who exactly. Maybe I'll find that out. I'll think about it. Salvador might be getting cut, though, from the UFC. I guess for his pain and suffering, we'll give him one more fight because, he deserves one last paycheck. No performance bonus for Yanez, unfortunately, but it was still a good knockout. Now, Themba Gorimbo, Ramiz, Brahimaj. Themba Gorimbo. Shout out to Themba Gorimbo because he proved me wrong. I picked Brahimaj by sub. I have picked against Themba Gorimbo consistently because that AJ Fletcher loss, I just can't get it out of my mind. But Themba Gorimbo really embraces the grind well and controls fighters pretty good. He bodied Brahimaj throughout the whole thing. But Gorimbo himself said the fight was boring. He fought with a heavy heart. His coach's mother passed away, so there was a lot on him. After the fight, he unloaded on the Twitter trolls and dropped some heat against all of them, pretty much calling them out for like making fun of the situation. And, he probably hates the narrative right now about the boring fight. It was a boring fight, though. Themba Gorimbo's a good embrace-the-grind type fighter, like a John Fitch-esque style, right, in the modern era. Good takedowns, control, smothering against the cage. But, yeah, it's not appealing for fans. It's not what fans are excited about moving forward. Themba Gorimbo's definitely got the UFC behind him. He's a cool dude. He's got The Rock, paying for his condo or apartment, whatever. I think that he's decent, but to be fair, it's opposition-based. Ramiz Brahimaj has turned out to be a bust, and Ramiz Brahimaj has traded wins and losses pre-UFC dating back to it. Think about him running into the top 15. I don't know, man. Maybe Vicente Luque he can beat. I don't know if you give him a ranked guy just like, bro, if you look at the welterweight top 15, okay? We got Kevin Holland is at 15. He's going up to middleweight for a fight, but he's still at 15. Luque at 14. He might be washed. 13 is Michael Venom Page, who's tremendous. Neil Magny is 12, who's hell to deal with. Buckley at 11, who's a powerhouse. Jeff Neal at 10. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson at 9. Sean Brady at 8. Machado Gary at 7. Gilbert Burns, what the fuck? That weight class is stacked. And I'm not so confident Themba Gorimbo can touch those guys. I think he'll end up getting laid out if he gets rushed up the ranks. But he's 33, so it has to happen. So are we giving Gorimbo a ranked opposition now? Or are we going to keep building him against guys like Brahimaj or less? I don't know what the UFC is thinking for sure. But I do know Themba Gorimbo has very strong grappling. And maybe he's better than this performance. I'm excited for the next one. At this point, I might as well pick against him every time. Because eventually I'm going to hit it right. We'll find out. Good win for Gorimbo, regardless of it not being super entertaining. Good win nonetheless. Our co-main event was the perfect prediction out of me. I said it. Khaos Williams. And on the live stream, I said he's going to catch him with a right hand. And he laid Carlston Harris out. Carlston with that slappy right. He leaves openings. This is a consistent problem for him. He's a slappy puncher. He's not a slick boxer. Khaos flatlined him. Brutal KO. Vicious fashion. And I said it all week. Because, again, Carlston Harris is another fraud dog of the night that everybody was high on. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go Carlston as a dog. And I knew Khaos Williams was probably going to show him the right hand. Or maybe even the left. It ended up being the clean right. Carlston Harris went flat out in the first round. Khaos Williams' hands are on fire. I said it all week, and I'm going to reiterate it. Khaos Williams, yes, he looked in his recent 2 fights. It was against Randy Brown, and he dropped him multiple times, and it was against Bedoya, who was a difficult, unknown striker. Carlston Harris is a grappler, first and foremost, and his boxing is sloppy, and he didn't shoot no takedowns here. And Khaos Williams still got the death touch, even though he hadn't shown in a little while. Good to see it back, because Khaos Williams really got me excited about what's coming up for him. Now, they already kind of like hinting at a fight towards the rankings, but it's a situation kind of similar to Themba Gorimbo. It's like, I don't know about rankings for him. Maybe, though. Are we crazy enough? Do we do Themba Gorimbo versus Khaos Williams? Am I nuts for thinking maybe that's the fight to make? They both fought on the same card. They'll both probably be ready around the similar time. Khaos Williams has got serious knockout power. Themba Gorimbo hasn't really fought anybody with skills like Khaos Williams where he can put your lights out in one punch. Now, I think they might be terrified of doing that because they don't want to risk Gorimbo, but he's going to have to fight somebody at some point, and maybe Khaos Williams will be it. I don't know. Gorimbo is kind of like a younger, maybe slightly better version of Carlston Harris, I think, maybe with a little more power. I think Khaos would dust him too. So, Khaos Williams, sick W. I was very happy to see it. As somebody that's always, I don't want to say I've always believed in Khaos. There's moments where I haven't, but I've always thought Khaos was decent. I've always thought Khaos had pretty good potential. I've always thought Khaos Williams was a fun guy to watch with big knockout power, and I think we have recency bias, so we forget the knockout power, and we look at the Bedoya fight and like, oh, he's not going to knock out Carlston Harris. You can't judge him from the worst performance. You got to look at everything. You got to look at the overall consistent narrative. There was a time Khaos Williams was the most terrifying welterweight prospect on the come up. And I think some of that hype is back a little bit. Now, granted, was it a 36-year-old Carlson Harris who's never been a good striker and was overrated? Yeah, sure. But Khaos still destroyed him as he should have. So, big W, Khaos. I was happy to see it. Let's jump to the main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the likes. And if you're new, subscribe. Lerone Murphy versus Edson Barboza. Lerone Murphy gave him a lesson, bro. He gave him a lesson that Lerone Murphy's legit. I scored it 4-1, and I'm only giving Edson Barboza the first round because of the up kick that nearly knocked Lerone Murphy out at the very end of the round. Murphy was pretty much gone. They didn't even show us him walking back to the stool because I guarantee you he was stumbling all over the place. They wanted to hide that just in case he won the fight. Well, I want to see it. What the fuck, UFC? They went to commercial break. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch it and try to find that clip of him walking back to the stool. Lerone Murphy's striking looked quality. His power looked good. Wasn't able to put Edson out of there, but Edson's got a fucking chin and a half on him. Edson Barboza's durability is unreal at this point. Lerone's boxing was crisp, and he found takedowns well, like good, well-timed takedowns in transition. I think Lerone Murphy's probably fighting the winner of Dan Ige, Joe Anderson, Brito next. I'm going to go out on a whim and pick that as the next one. I think he can beat both of them. Lerone Murphy, as much as I've given him flack, he did prove himself here to me against Edson Barboza. He is a consistent fighter. Quality stand-up, quality wrestling, quality pressure, quality gas tank. Doesn't have the craziest knockout power, but with volume can do some serious damage. Doesn't have top 10 NCAA wrestling, but has well-timed takedowns that he mixes in with the striking and he garners control time. And I thought that it was a performance that deserved some praise. So respect on the name of Lerone Murphy, especially because I did pick against him. I wasn't sold on him. I've said I haven't been sold on Lerone. Now I believe the hype a bit. Now I don't think he's the greatest of all time, but he just beat number 12, Edson Barboza. Maybe he deserves bigger than a Dan Ige, Joe Anderson, Brito winner. Maybe they give him something better than that. I mean, how far up can he jump, though? If Bryce Mitchell's available, do they do that fight? Do they maybe do Giga Chikadze, Arnold Allen winner? But he wouldn't deserve a number 6 spot. I'm looking at the rankings, I'm trying to think. A Josh Emmett fight, that's high risk, high reward. Aljamain Sterling deserves a bigger name. I think Bryce Mitchell or the winner of Ige Brito. But they might be trying to do the Ige Brito winner versus Diego Lopez. I have a little bit of a hunch on that. Dude, do we have to sacrifice Calvin Kattar? Is Calvin Kattar going to have to fight Lerone Murphy? Oh, my God. We're going to have to do Calvin Kattar Murphy? Damn. Because he's coming off a loss, though. They might do Edson Barboza versus Kattar. I kind of like that fight, to be honest with you. Still, nonetheless, Lerone Murphy deserved a pretty clean decision. Scorecards went the right way. Lerone Murphy, 4-1 for me, but 5-0 wouldn't have blown my mind. It's just because of that up kick that dropped him in the first round. But praise to Edson because he ate some big shots. He took like 180, 160, I don't know, something like that, strikes to the head over the night. So I guarantee you he needs some fucking Advils. Holy shit, his head's bothering him. He's a warrior, and I know there was people in the chat talking about Edson should retire. Bro, the paycheck's too good for him. He ain't retiring yet. And he's not getting knocked out. The chin's still holding up. He's taking a lot of damage, but the chin's still holding up. Lerone Murphy got the biggest win of his life. He's now a ranked contender in the UFC, and I'm curious to see what he can do. I know the Manchester card would be a quick turnaround for him, right? Because the Manchester card is the end of July, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. And I mean, our boy's from Manchester. Can we maybe give him a quick turnaround and put him on the card? Maybe there's somebody out there available. I'd be down for that. Lerone Murphy, good win in the main event, beating Edson Barboza in what was a quality overall performance. Now, from me, the picks, I want to brag about something. My most confident picks, I swept the card. Khaos Williams, win by knockout. Angela Hill, 1. Tom Nolan, knockout, 1. And I'm missing one more. Where's my other one? Adrian Yanez, knockout, 1. Boom. Swept the most confident picks. Lock, the true lock of the week, Avis Magomedov, hit. Favorite underdog on the card, Alatengheili, hit. And the prediction was perfect with the decision. Now, the overall result, we lost with the first fight of the night. I had Emily Ducote. She lost a close split decision. It's how it goes. Obviously, won with Alateng. So we're 1-1. Then we got a damn DQ in a fight that I looked like I was clearly winning. Okay, I'll take the loss. 1-2. 1 with Abas. Now we move to 2-2. 1 with Gatto over Vidal. We go to 3-2. Things are moving nice. This was a stupid pick. It was a late edition fight pick, and I think I went in like a moron thinking, you know what, I'm going Tokkos. He's taking a chance to take one on him. Well, I got to eat it on the chin because I took a fat loss there. I should have just stuck with Oumar Sy, the Savage. Lost there in a fight that should have been clear as day. 3-3, and then Tom Nolan win, 4-3. Then Angela Hill win, 5-3. Adrian Yanez win, 6-3. Themba Gorimbo loss brings me to 6-4. Fucking hell, I had Ramiz Brahimaj, so big mistake there. Khaos Williams win, bringing things back up. We're 7-4. I'm feeling good. I'm like, all right, Edson, maybe you got a shot. Up kick lands to the first. Maybe he's gonna knock him out. No, Lerone Murphy proved himself. 7-5. So the overall record was not beautiful, but as far as where the confidence lied, I feel pretty damn good about it. So overall, I call it a pretty savage night for me. Guys, I hope you enjoyed. I'm not taking a week off. Content's still coming. I'll be dropping the full card early predictions for UFC 302 Sunday, which is tomorrow, May 19th. So make sure you guys tune into that. I'll have news reactions throughout the week. I think I'm going to do a video about Khalil Roundtree's drug test failure and then kind of discuss everything with that. And if I think he's guilty or not, because I think there's more to the story than just, a failed drug test. So definitely keep your eyes locked in on the channel. Smash the likes if you haven't. If you're new, subscribe it up with the post notifications turned on. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. And if you got nothing to say, as always, just drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one. Peace, everybody.